discussion around this key initiative is encouraging, especially from an informed position. The government notes the statement issued by Honorable Stephen Kalonzo, State Council, on the partial divestiture of the government's shareholding in Safaricom PLC, and as the matter remains before the courts, it would be inappropriate and contrary to established constitutional practice to encourage in substantive public debate on issues awaiting judicial determination. The government remains committed to the judicial process and will abide by all lawful directions and final determinations of the courts. The transaction actually proceeded following the Court of Appeals determination, lifting the conservatory orders that had temporarily halted it, which came from the High Court. And when the temporary order, conservatory orders were issued by the High Court, the government abided by those orders. So in reaching that decision, the court weighed the public interest both including fiscal considerations, market certainty, and the cost of continued delay to both the transaction and finances. The government acted within the framework that ruling established. So this action is in sync and in compliance with the principles of respect of the rule of law. I want to repeat that. The action that the government took the action that the government took is actually in sync and in compliance with the principles of respect of the rule of law. Questions have been raised regarding valuation, timing, and the strategic significance of the asset. These are live issues before the High Court and will be resolved through the constitutional process underway. Until then, it would be inappropriate for anybody to present contested assertions or expert opinion as settled facts. The transaction was undertaken pursuant to Section 87A of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, following National Assembly approval and public participation conducted in line with Articles 10 and 118 of the Constitution. As a matter of fact, I personally took initiative to conduct extensive public participation even before Parliament undertook the same. I almost went to the former provinces of this republic and engaged in extensive consultation. I remember in this region, I went to Migori County and held public engagement. I later went to Kakamega for the wider western region and then proceeded to Nakuru for the Rift Valley region and Eldoret for the north, Nakuru for the south. I later conducted extensive engagement in Kiambu for the Kiambu County, for the central region, and went to Meru to conduct the same exercise. And I was in Kilifi for the coastal region. The only region that I did not visit is the wider northern Kenya region, which I was supposed to go to Garissa, but was caught up with the time constraint. The National Assembly equally conducted through the relevant committees. Actually, it was a joint committee of the National Assembly, and they conducted extensive engagement with the public. So this is an exercise that was done meticulously and within the law, respecting the provisions of Article 10 and Article 118 of the Constitution. The government is confident it was conducted within the applicable legal, regulatory, and governance framework, and welcomes the opportunity for these matters to be conclusively determined by the courts. The question I want to ask Kalonzo, JB Mutulu, and the rest who are contesting this divestiture, where have you conducted public consultation? I did on behalf of the government. You sit in your houses, converse maybe with your children, and you come out and say this is not good for tenants. I think as you call for governance in the government, we must also call for proper governance and good governance among the opposition. The fact that you are in the opposition does not give you the latitude and express authority to be speaking without consulting them. I have not seen any public engagement anywhere conducted by Kalonzo Musyoka and the rest to determine whether Kenyans would want divestiture of shares in Safaricom to put into a national infrastructure fund to be able to do our public infrastructure projects. They just make conclusions on their own and decide that that is what Kenyans want. I think that is responsible. So constitutional litigation and economic governance are not mutually exclusive. Courts have consistently held that public interest is multifaceted, encompassing fiscal stability, prudent management of public resources, investor confidence, and the government's constitutional duty to safeguard the country's economic welfare. The government's conduct throughout has been guided by these obligations, alongside full respect for constitutional oversight and judicial review. Kenya's standing as a credible investment decision rests on decades of institutional strength, legal predictability, and democratic accountability. Recent transactions involving Kenyan assets reflect continued confidence in the country's economic fundamentals, regulatory architecture, and capital markets. Robust public debate on matters of national importance is welcome and necessary, but it should reinforce, not to undermine confidence in the institutions that are underpinning Kenya's economic and constitutional order. The government reaffirms its commitment to transparency, accountability, and the rule of law. The constitutional petition before the High Court remains live, and the government has participated fully in these proceedings while respecting judicial independence. At the same time, it remains committed to prudent management of public resources, macroeconomic stability, and policies that advance Kenya's long-term economic interests. Before I conclude, I wanted just to make two comments. This matter is being politicized again by the opposition as they attempted before Parliament passed the session of Parliament. They attempted to politicize the divestiture in Safaricom and also the IPO of KPC with zero success. Now they have gone to court, which we welcome. Again, they are already seeing probably they are not succeeding in sabotaging and derailing the government's agenda in the courts. They are now coming out again to politicize this matter, even when they know very well that the matter is still live before the court. Yesterday, if you want to know that this matter is being politicized, you could see clearly the plaintiff, the person who has taken the matter in court, to court, that is Tony Gashon, and using Kalonzo as his lawyer or advocate. He stated that they will go all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, you wonder, when someone is still transacting at High Court, why would he be the same one to say, I will go all the way to the Supreme Court? Yet the matter is still before and live before the High Court. And Kalonzo did not counter that. Until now, when J.B. Muturi repeated the same, is when he pretended by smiling and saying that we still have faith in the High Court. Why didn't he correct his client, the person he is representing in court, when he made such a wild statement? Finally, again, if you want to know that this matter is being politicized, we are currently just owning 35%. I mean, now it is 20% because we have already divested. But before this exercise, or before this transaction, we had 35%. But there was a time we had 100% ownership in Safaricom. Where did 65% go? President Moi divested a portion, a section, or part of the shares. President Kibaki also did the same, during which time Kalonzo was very much inside those two governments. Kalonzo Musyoka was a very strong member of government of President Moi. He was a senior minister. He was sitting in the cabinet when President Moi was divesting shares in Safaricom. He kept mum. He didn't speak. The same with Kibaki's time. Now when President Ruto is divesting 15%, it becomes an issue. Yet those two presidents divested and used that money in general budgetary support. Today, if you ask Kenyans where we took the money that we got from the sale of Safaricom shares during these two administrations, they cannot tell you because they don't know. But in this administration, we are saying this money is not going to be used for general budgetary support. We are not going to consume it. We are investing that money We are converting it into another asset, a public asset. The money is going direct and actually has gone, because we have already received them. The money has gone direct into National Infrastructure Fund, which fund is going to be used for investment, is going to be used to finance public infrastructure which are commercially viable. And Kenyans will be able to point out that the money went here and here. If it goes to the JKIA airport, we will be seeing the airport, we'll be seeing the terminals that have been developed. If it goes to expansion of Nairobi-Namanga Road, the road leading to the border with Tanzania, we will see dual carriageway there, and we will see toll stations erected on those roads where the road users will be paying some little fees to be able to pay back to the National Infrastructure Fund. That is what Kenyans are being told is a wrong idea. That's a wrong investment. That's a wrong move. Yet when Kalonzo was sitting in the two cabinets that approved the divestiture of shares in Safaricom, and he was a leader in this country, even if he was not sitting in the cabinet, he was a leader. Why didn't he question the sales that time? Now he's questioning why, because it is Ruto who is there and he wants to be the president. You cannot be president of this country by distorting facts, misinforming people and spreading propaganda and just criticizing and questioning every issue that comes before the government, before the public. Finally, now you see, they tried to politicize Finance Bill of 2026. They tried to misinform people and distort facts. They failed. Now they are scavenging for something else. These are scavengers, political scavengers, very dangerous. Political scavengers looking for any opportunity to make government look bad. But Kenyans are now more intelligent and are telling them, please come with facts and come with alternatives. Thank you very much, unless you have further questions to ask.
You want to give us a recap first?
I will do questioning first.
Wazir, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm looking from KBC. And from where you stand as the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury, would you say that now that the matter is still pending in the High Court, in terms of determining the constitutionality, the process of the investor, of the partial divestment of Safaricom shares, would you say that the government was approached to the court by rushing, or rather rushing in the terms, according to what Kalonzo said, by rushing to partially divest that part? Would you say the government was in contact?
There is no process that we rushed at the first day. I told you we did extensive public participation, and we were about to conclude this transaction until the High Court gave us an order not to proceed, and we obeyed the orders of the High Court. So there is no contact. We obeyed the orders of the High Court, and we went to the Court of Appeal because we felt that we needed more justice. And the Court of Appeal agreed with us and told us we can proceed with the process. So we have proceeded with the process within the confines of the law. That does not take away the matter that is still before the High Court. The matter that is before the High Court is substantive matter. It is not an order. The order we dealt with at the Court of Appeal, and we succeeded in getting the order lifted, and that is why we proceeded with the process of divestiture. Now, when the High Court makes that determination, then we will respond according to the decision of the High Court as a government. It's a responsible government. There's no way I can be controlled. I will always, and the rest of the government will always obey and respect the court. But Kalonzo coming to say that we rush, what did we rush? If he had substantive issues, he would have settled that with the Court of Appeal. Yes.
Okay. As the CS in charge of finance, how do you feel when the government is only a minority shareholder in a critical national asset is Safaricom? Then secondly, is it really accurate to say that the process is being politicized? When all along, the entire process from the public's participation evidence that we just talked about were all political processes?
Maybe you didn't understand what I meant by politicized. Maybe I should call it negative energy. Politicize, yes, we are in politics, so every aspect must be discussed politically. But what I meant by politicize means playing politics with an economic matter. This is an economic matter. this is a transaction. This is an investment. You don't play politics with it. You put substantive matters. And by the way, matters of valuation, matters of share pricing, is matters that we have professionals in this country to deal with. I don't think we must respect the boundaries. I cannot claim to go to court and start arguing a case because I have no capacity. The same way, I don't expect Kalonzo to start valuing the shares of Safaricom. You should leave that to me because I'm more competent in that space. That's how what life is. You choose a direction, a professional direction. There are doctors. I cannot claim to be treating anyone. Hata saa hii nikikupata meno inakuuma, I have my degree but I can't help you because I have no knowledge of how to treat your men. Again, I cannot represent you in court. I have no capacity. But I have capacity in valuing share. I have capacity in financial matters, in knowing how economy can be run, how to invest your assets. That is my profit. So I don't expect Kalonzo, JB, Muturi and the rest to have a lot of knowledge. They can have some knowledge, but not a lot of knowledge to the extent now they want to contradict what I have done. I think that would be unfair to my profession. But your question of, we have been minority shareholders in Safaricom even before this divestment. So what is the difference? Minorities having less than 50%. And we have been having only 35. Now we are having 20. What's the difference? We are minority shareholders. We will continue to be minority shareholders. In fact, I want to be further minority shareholders by divesting more, to raise money and to do other constructive things. We should not be in business. That is something I've said many times. The government has no business in being in business. Business for private people. We provide an environment for them. My friend, this Safaricom was owned 100% by government. It was a small thing. The moment we divested, it became big. So they don't have that mindset of government running business. Government has no capacity running major businesses. Governments world over have no capacity. Last, yes.
Kalonzo was questioning why the government is preparing one of sale of dividends with equivalent to 2 years. So I'm wondering why, as an expert,
can you repeat it? One
of pay of dividends in an equivalent of 2 years. So he was questioning, and maybe you as an expert could explain it.
Either you didn't understand him, or he doesn't understand what he's asking. Probably he doesn't. Because what we did, we got dividend in advance of 40 billion, which will be recovered over the period. So that is even more than 2 years of dividend. All right? Actually, it may be 5 years from the current payout that we have seen. But I also heard them say talk about dividend that we should have earned if we laid up to others. I mean, that is a very cheap argument, very simplistic. The earlier we conclude this transaction, the better for this economy. We are getting about 240. You cannot wait for 7 billion to be paid next year. You delay, then another year, you will say, no, let us again wait for 7 years. How many years will it take us to get 240 billion if we were to get it at the rate of 7 billion, whatever amount that we want? So, and dividend payment is guided by law and principles. You cannot be speculating that, oh, we will get dividend, so let's wait. Let us conclude, in my view, this transaction within the legal framework and respecting the judicial process. Conclude it, have money in the National Infrastructure Fund, and do major projects. JKIA needs to be done and concluded so that we can remain a competitive economy. That must be done. We will only be able to do JKIA if this fund is running. Already we have interviewed board members. In the next 1 week or so, we will announce those who have qualified or who have satisfied as the competent board, and you will see the name. I am confident we have gone for the best Kenyans, the best we could get for board membership. And then they are going to recruit CEO. In the next 1 month, 2 months, we want this fund up and running so that major infrastructure projects that have delayed the energy sector, where we complain when power goes out, then you start asking, what is Wandai doing? What can Wandai do when the power generation is 3,000 megawatts? 3,200, and we need 10,000 for the country. What can he do? Can he bring magic to bring power stability? We need power stability. We need energy costs to come down. That can only be realized by deliberate and strategic investment in energy sector. You will not do that with the current budget that we have today. After you all know that we have debt distress, we have a lot of money we are paying every year from our revenue to service our debt, and you have no other alternative. You have to service those debts. We don't have money to do major projects. We don't have money to do we don't have money to expand some of our roads that need expansion and which are commercially viable. We don't have money to do irrigation or get to irrigated agriculture. We don't have money for energy. I've told you. We have to be innovative and creative. The traditional way of thinking, the simplistic way of thinking, the way I see the opposition, is not going to take this country far. We are committed to this course. This National Infrastructure Fund, this government has committed itself that it is a solution to our advancement towards the first one. And it will happen. The journey has just begun. And we are not going to be derailed. We are going to soldier on because we know that this is what is good for Kenyans. We have even engaged Kenya. They were not questioning about the sale, by the way, of this. What they were questioning is how this money is going to be managed, accountability. And they told us, please put the right people to manage this fund. If you want to know that we listened, look at the people who the president appointed to the council. Apart from those who are spelled out in law, including myself as the cabinet secretary, who is the chairman of the governing council. There is Kamau Kruge, who is the governor central bank, by law. Attorney General, Dorcas Ugulu, by law. Then there are four other other individuals. Number one, Paul Russo, the CEO of KCB, an eminent Kenyan, we all know. There is Mr. Richard Etimisi, who was a very senior person in Standard Chartered Bank. We all know. He did an excellent job. The third person is Professor Orama, the immediate former president of Africa Import and Exim Bank, Export Import Bank, Africa Exim Bank, Afrexim Bank. We all know how that guy is qualified. Then we have Faith Boynet, a lawyer of high standing, who is the chairperson now of KPC, Kenya Pipeline, for eminent Kenya, who has complained about the capacity of those. When we get the board in place, you will see the names. Again, you will be encouraged that we have the right people to manage this fund. People with knowledge in investment banking, people with knowledge in accounting and finance, people with knowledge in engineering. Those are the people we will have in the board who will now then go ahead and recruit the manager. Let us give this fund chance to transform this country. And it is going to happen, as the president always says, in our lifetime. Lastly, my brother, I hope you are asking.
We are done. Mana,
Yes.
don't worry, Makoro Warito.